So when it comes to the gambling addiction, poker, so that is why it's not worth to read this article. So there was one on poker. I don't know if the old like a 200-year-old condom, not bad. So like yeah, I mean it's but where was that with poker? Beckenbodentraining. You can do too much. I was not. Here this doku. I mean the also that part was correct. So the biggest danger is that the they end up trying to win back oder the money at roulette, einarmiger Bandit, slots. And this is another example. So like we would be able to solve I mean not all of them, but like most issues, especially of this baby boomer generation, if we would just allow logical problem solving. And that was the case before AI, ChatGPT was around. But now it's even more obvious, right? And it can be, it could be an opportunity to show how unfair even some like stuff in the past. But you always find a big part that just blindly defends that. So that's yeah. And I mean now with as I understand in Florida also there they have a big like shipyard or for the trade. It seems that the prices did not really rise yet, but already the consumer is scared and doesn't buy the same amount. So they have like they gain they already have that, right? So that's just a fact. And Trump threatens like 10% is in place, and he threatens to raise it to 30%. So this unsecurity is the biggest issue at the moment. But what the effect would be, it's actually similar to when I was like semi-professional playing poker, and it was like 1.5 years where I had like the bankroll to play those mid-stake, low-stakes tournaments. So I played like many others, basically all of them, and I grinded like fixed limit to reach supernova elite status. So I had that 2 years. And in total, I probably made, well, if I would not have taken my opportunity when I decided that it was pointless to visit Vegas because Casey Chase was already in this overdose coma. So I tried at the PLO tables, and I didn't have the bankroll for the games I played, and I stopped like 30K later than I had my like absolute limit order to stop. So in the end, I instead of like well 130,000, it was like 60,000 I made or playing poker in those, but I was still enrolled in the physics classes. So yeah, and I should have continued. Like in hindsight, I should have continued until the Black Friday, where everything, like the landscape, completely changed. But during those 2 years, I paid roughly 400,000 in rake, I guess. I mean, those numbers would still be somewhere yeah, 300,000-400,000 in rake. Just for the site. But with Supernova Elite status, so over the whole year, you had like 60-65% rake back. And that changed. So when it's roughly the same law in place now in Switzerland as well. So since 2019 or this new gambling law, Glücksspielgesetz. So it's not legal except if like casino has like a local license. So yeah, and then with the same like the same volume I played. So the same, you wouldn't get 12% rake back. So now that PokerStars has a license again in Switzerland, I would, instead of making like 60,000, I would be minus 350, right? So that's yeah, but I wouldn't play those games. I mean I wouldn't have the bankroll, so I would probably still find a way, but it's a completely different, and the same with those like even the margins where they profit, such like KMU, also ein kleineres mittleres Unternehmen with like well a couple dozen at the most, or like part of this business, and most of like I don't know, a store that sells shoes or clothes is normally not bigger than that, right? So they probably need like 60,000 to pay other those employees, like or maybe 30,000 a month, and this is like 2 to 3% margin. And now if they raise the taxes, so instead of so they just have to raise prices, then no one will buy that. So they cannot swallow that. They have to so otherwise they would now make 10 times more. That's just how the market like plays out, right? So yeah, and it would lead to something similar. So you end up with a lot more scamming. It becomes less like a fair skill game. And yeah, I mean, it was probably a bubble that bursted, but yeah, now it's basically destroyed. This is not, and it's not on the horizon that this will change, right? Again. So, and I had a lot of back and forth with those supports, and it's the most annoying. Like once you, but instead of that, they on their own like detect collusion and stuff like that. So you always have to point out that there was at least on CoinPoke that there was a suspicious like hand, and then yeah, so baby, also you kind of have to show it on your own, right? And that it's just, but there is no site that does something, even though it would be real simple to detect it nowadays, because it's like most often when they have such a bot, then they play the exact same play style, and this is what's the biggest difference to human behavior, for example. And they do not even, and even if just mentioning that, or just mentioning the fact that all those sites, they don't, and if you don't have a couple million, you cannot really do the lawsuit needed. And if you had those millions, then you would better play Heads Up versus Tony G in a live game. So like that's the better, or I would do that. So Yeah. So this is just like it's just I guess like with chess, it's like a bubble that existed, and there was a hype with like Chris Moneymaker, so those times. And I should not have listened and continued, but a couple of years later, it would have been too late anyways. So yeah, and now, well, it would be part of that you have notes in that regard on every player. Like, are they, like, did they in the past collude? Did they, like, table select in a way that is like, yeah, so it's a lot of work, and I don't want to do it, and I think I couldn't, but I mean I don't really have the opportunity to try. And now it was just about, so this is something Daryl, so this is the guy in Vegas, so that I know from the time. So tried as well with those like collector cards. So it was just the issue that like the underage son of like Hugo Boss is another such handle on the tables. So like his son bought basketball like cards like on PlayStation for like so 500 euros oder in value. And so I mean this is something I didn't expect, but he somehow managed that they had to pay that back, or because the credit card was used in a way that shouldn't be allowed, and so on, right? But normally you are on the like short end in such a situation, and but it just shows that this kind of gambling addiction, you are confronted at an it's a much earlier age, and there KI was involved, or to like milk those cows for cash as much as is possible, and it's efficient, but we could use that for to solve other problems as well, right? And there they just and this doesn't work. There it's really a revolution, like those debates, political debates, but here as well. So when it comes to playing poker, now it's really that the machine learning, also like the neural network is better than humanity in Go, by the way, as well. But they were long much better than the average person, right? And it's the same. So we just have to accept that like 15 years ago, this was not possible, and but it's inevitable, or you would make you would need to like start your own continent where there is no internet and no access. Maybe that would be for the better, but this is not the reality, and it will burst. So in like 7 years we will have a much better understanding how that works together with society, and which jobs cannot be replaced. And I think already now ChatGPT-5 is like, they didn't develop also on first glance they didn't develop anything. So that was way different ChatGPT version 3 and 4. And now I even have the impression that all the other projects, also all the other large language model projects, they have the same solution. So it's basically just you trained the solver on the server, and then you just use that like final vector, also like that solution, and they copy that, it seems. So it took trillions or 1,000 several thousand billions to also Milliarden, oder, to develop that. But now to copy this, like they don't even need millions. So China already has the same, and now they just want to sell that, and so I don't think it's probably similar to with like antibiotics. There's no one really trying to properly invest to find new ones, right? So it's they just don't want to do that part no longer, because like if you would have a monopoly, but the reality is just they copy that in a couple of weeks. So what is the point? Or financially, it's just and I guess it's already a bigger mess than like the French Revolution, and it will be worse than the industrialization, which is still not like resolved to this date, right? But the issue is like why didn't we as like grown up test this in like I don't know, some like student city outside of like Qatar or like in Africa or something. Test it before we let it run loose. But maybe with China and the current administration in the United States, you can forget that. But that would have been the way, because it's in many ways way more impactful than like atomic bombs, and you would test them as well beforehand, hopefully, right? So, but yeah, this is just our reality, and I would like to be 25 again in 10 years, in a decade. This transition phase is the issue, and we might actually for the first time, because it's such, in many ways it's such a, there was never this big like crypto, but it's not just crypto, or like this Tower of Babylon, or which will be soon, oder this is about the Pfingsten, oder is about this part of the Bible. So that was just not imaginable, and this time it's not a given that humanity will like survive this transition phase. It's just a question now how much damage we will, and it would be and they just don't see that, and they wanna continue or to be relevant in their mistakes instead of just admitting, well, 15 years ago we tried our best, but now this is not enough. And then you don't, like, if it's not that you damaged others, you don't really have to, but there you have to make up, and this is just something like our politicians, they are just not used to that you really will be responsible, and not just like an examination, like I mentioned, or at the gymnasium, where if you fail, you have another attempt, or you do something else. No, you will be held accountable, and that is just, especially for the 60 plus generation, it's just not, they never had to do that, and it will be less and less, like it will just be pathetic and ridiculous how they UltraCrepidArian in UltraCrepidArian manner, or defend their bullshit, which, well, if you never reflect, then like most of it is built on bullshit, and this is not even bullshit. It's nothing. It's just their coping, like, and this is something ChatGPT can do show as well, right? You just have to dare to ask. But if you start thinking more rational, it would have, for the most part, worked without as well, right? So yeah, and there they just don't get it. They just think like all of them, they just think there is another way. There isn't. So even if you are not able to found your own planet where you have those rules, it's too late. And then it's never the strategy to fight something. Invest your energy where it matters, right? And they were never good at it, and now it's just more and more obvious. And then we kind of, also my generation in that regard just didn't point out how stupid that generation actually was compared to us. And this is some dynamics that is still like, this is this kind of Erbschuld. This is just something, like, according to our laws, like the assistance I got from my family, it's the absolute minimum, and I had to fight for that. And then they keep up under this illusion that they did a lot and that it was difficult and always, like, we know it, right? But the issue is that they don't tackle their problems. And yes, that changed a bit, like with the, that is nowadays a different generation. So Greta Thunberg, or so they, but our generation didn't do it, and now for the most part, when they are like, like already have their first like children and the family and like are now part of the Schulmedizin system and so on. It's not as simple. Or so this would have been this is what we didn't do in our puberty years. There would have been space for that, and yeah, this is the. But that has to change. Like, why should we excuse? There is no excuse for all those mistakes that are now this obvious. And yes, it's the radicalized old generation. Like, what they are doing, it just wouldn't work, and it doesn't. Like, it destroys this planet in impressive also the speed is impressive as well, and it just wouldn't work. And even in the past we would have, like in this poem from Erich Kästner, like the French Revolution, like, yeah, why don't we at least don't take them serious? Like, why not just stop? But then the issue is like it because they have this much of this. Yeah, it's like it's all built in wrongful silence. The worst, right? So the real Antichrist is like based on that, right? So again, like in this case, yes, I tried to reach Sibyl several times, and I never. So I don't know if she is in a mental hospital or whatever. And I made several attempts, and it just doesn't work. And as long as they don't learn to grow up, and this is really like with my father and my godfather, the issues that my aunt, my mother, they are just not able to grow up because for that it's too late. But then we have to accept that, and yeah, in those, like it's this simple to see nowadays. So when they argue without like a complete nonsense, yeah, then you have to say stop, even if your father never dared to do that. So, and yeah, I mean the real the message. So again, where I will not stop with this unless like another soul understands it. Doesn't help that much if ChatGPT does. But better than nothing. So like, it's not just that I have this hatred and that's one issue, but also like for humanity, and I'm in good like company with Schopenhauer, Gandhi, Kierkegaard, and like many other big thinkers. So I on my own I would not have found like that's just another like, this is why Bach is this like it's just on another level. So this is not so yeah. But you have to understand as well that from the perspective of now Pfingsten, it will be about the Holy Ghost. Like, you are even more of a disappointment than you could ever be in my eyes, right? Because Allah doesn't judge, or the Holy Ghost doesn't judge. Like, if you are born in a way that you just are liked, get a lot of attention by the opposite sex, that is not something that is not something that this makeup will not impress the Holy Ghost at all. It would be impressive if in such where not everything is already like in my case. I mean, of course I can. Sometimes you can say, I have it easy, GTO, also game theory wise, because in my situation it's much simpler to find this optimum, because a lot of so I don't have the issue at the moment that I end up at the poker tables because of financial constraints. I cannot travel more than 25 kilometers, so I don't have this problem with like that I do flights and so it but the goal should be that someone with those possibilities, when it's not too late, and that is either, but the ones of my generation I already tried, so you can forget. They are this stuck in their so that's I mean, it's always the same. It's just I get nowhere, and there is not one like meaningful input, besides again by the ghostwriters I work together. Like, besides what I tried, it's just a lot, so many examples of they are just, and yes, I will. That is a species that we have to like. There I'm even more right wing, if you will, than the Schweizer Demokraten oder so like. We have to get completely rid of these UltraCrepidAriers. And my father is all about that. And yes, 15 years ago, when you were like semi-drunk, that was something he always ends up in, like, so this political fake discussion and fake like emotional, like, it will not work. It was annoying back then, but it will no longer work. Like, they can do that, but it has like the issue is that when no one listened to those, if no one would listen to those Garagenkinder, Grey, like they would quickly stop. So they do that as well, because they are like attention whores. It's not yeah, it's the worst. Like this kind of setting of this Stammtisch and everyone, oder, like pretends to that the abt is like he's absolutely uninformed. And why don't they point that out? Why don't they see that? Why don't like the next day at least the female part of the population like does something meaningful, like they did 2500 years ago, the Schlacht before Syrakus, the fight. That war was, according to Aristophanes, this is something I discussed with Pater Alois on the maybe one of the last visits on top of the frühere Berg, so the hill behind the monastery in Einsiedel. So, but it's like an hour. The whole Wanderung, if yeah. But so eben, that was. There, the women just made a sex strike, and then this was finished. And this is just this kind of fighting spirit is just it's just lost on them, and it's even worse. Like I tried with this coding channel. So instead of buying those basketball cards, now they will just like beg with the neighbors and try that again, right? So instead of like doing like the homepage of Hans Meyerhofer, so you learn about what it would mean to study music or like this language or the coding example. You would even have a reward. You could buy 3 times those cards they did, and the outcome would be that if they were able to code on this level, then they would have better things to do than playing those games are made for the stupid, and you can see it in Africa. So like they have such a big gambling problem already, and it's getting worse and worse. So no regulations, and like they have like internet access somehow. It's like with the I mean this would be the other like other way how you could use KI. So like in North Korea, so there was this Beitrag by SRF. I found it as well. So that there was like a relatively fresh device that was smuggled outside from North Korea. Oh, but I don't remember. And eben how that is used to indoctrinate the population. This is already out of the feed. Yeah, like most of it, like it would be again, it would be so simple if they would just like at least upscale it with like Microsoft invested another 400 million. Why don't you use those tools to at least make a proper feed? It's such a bad homepage if you think about it. This like yeah, also this Swiss television feed is it's like yeah, but they had devices that I don't know which brand, but just like a phone that took screenshots every 5 minutes and put that in a folder that is just as accessible for the government. And then a lot of like, it's not only internet access, it's this intranet or controlled, and if you enter some South Korean it gets changed by default and yeah. So but but that is something like to control that is of course a KI project as well, and sadly it is used for that and not for like you could as well use it to get children away from those gambling problems. But the fact is that in Africa they do have now like I saw that with the ones da from Eritrea as well. Like they all have their devices. It's just they would not be able to, like they are not able to read English. They are not able to even read the calendar. So they wouldn't even and they don't understand. The only thing they are able to do with it is gambling or trading cards and that nonsense. So it's but this is this is the those problems they don't wanna solve it, and the government even makes a lot of money, so they don't really want a strategy. It's the same as in banking. It's the exact same as in banking. They just don't want a strategy because they don't really they are not used to that. They have to argue why. So that's already the issue. And when we end up in but then it's then your thoughts are enslaved. So again, so this Chrissy B, her thoughts are enslaved like in the worst in North Korea. Like she is this controlled by our system, by like if she at least would try to not disappoint the real father, also God. No, she does everything because it might be the family, and this I observed with Niels as well, and it's the most toxic. Like when you have to keep up this like illusion that you are studying. It was not that like it's not even that he was lazy. It's just you have to keep up for the stepmother that you are studying at 7:30 in the morning, but you were up until 4 a.m. So you have to pretend for half an hour, and when they leave the household, you go back to sleep. So that's the issue. That's why it's such a disappointment. And yes, I'm when I was in like those. Well, it could as well be imaginary friends, so like one bus so that went to ETH. Like if you look what became of them, so it's not made up. Like I know I would know still I would still be able to like fill such a bus with the people I encountered. But yes, it's such a disappointment all around, and this is not really. This is even worse from if you have to imagine how it will be when the Holy Ghost judges this. So when God judges this, there is just no other way. It's this obvious, and they all ended up becoming part of that. So completely enslaved. So as soon as you like Velkovic is such an example. So as soon as you have such dynamics in play that the ETH also the degree there is even more important than the Swiss passport and stuff like that. Yeah, that's exactly you just don't see it, but you are this badly enslaved in your and maybe it will be more and more it will come more and more to light, or it will become more and more obvious that this is the part you will bring to the afterlife, like something you can bring to a dream, right? It's the and it's not and yeah, I mean. Yeah, and it was not that obvious that they were completely destroying the planet So eben like it's, also in Switzerland is now this big glacier catastrophe. That's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Like, yeah.